Hello, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to just go into a little energy update, and this will probably be a two-part video. Part one will just be the energy update based on my own unique individual expression and journey in this now moment, as I have been experiencing many of the energies right along with everybody else that we're all in this soup together. And then I'll do a second video of more inflow, light language. So if that's something that you're just interested in maybe tapping into and connecting with, then you'll want to watch the other video that I'll be doing, part two of this double header. So there's so much always that I could go into, and there's so many different layers. I want to talk a little bit about rigidity and being open to the fluidity and the new medium that we're all kind of encased within right now. I've been getting a lot of downloads about the body, and I have yet to type it up. Essentially, I do walking meditations, and I've done this for years. And as I did these walking meditations, I received messages from what I've always referred to as my higher self, or my guides or guardians or my angels. I call them my higher guidance team, HGT. And I did that for a really long time. And essentially, I've over and over again been reminded that many of these expressions are just other versions of me, possibly either from the future. I just jumped right into it, didn't I? From the future, or ancestors from the past. But I like to connect into all of it because I am a multidimensional being, and I have the ability to feel into these energies, as we all do. We all have this ability if we choose to tap into it. And it is choice. It's freedom of choice. Some people choose not to, and that's okay. And so I'm sharing this because I will download all of this information, and then I'll share it with you guys on a video, or I'll type it up in my blog. Now, my blog, everything that I write about is a word play, and it's meant to be played with. So this is where I'm going with this theme right now. And one of the biggest messages that always comes up is let go. And I did a video yesterday on letting go and expectations. I've done quite a few videos about that. But it's always something that comes up over and over again. And my mom even brought it up the other day. I had a couple clients, it's been an ongoing theme. And what does that mean? It just means, from this now moment as I'm expressing this for this particular video, don't hang on so tight. There's this idea that if we don't hang on tight, we're going to lose our grip. We're going to lose our grip on fill in the blanks. For some of us, it's losing our grip on reality. Like, I've got to hang on to this because this is all I've got left, right? I need to believe in this. I need this to work for me. This has always worked for me. It's never let me down. Therefore, I cannot let it go. And that might be true. That might be valuable for someone. Someone who gets up every morning and has a regimen, or follows a certain teacher and that protocol that the teacher offers. It might be exactly what that person needs. But it isn't necessarily what we all need, and it isn't necessarily what we need anymore. And the message that keeps coming up is a lot of the teachings that we've had, and a lot of the information and the realities that we've been taught about have outrun the distance, meaning we've gone farther. We're now faster. We're moving through this medium on our ships at a different speed. And this is all a play on words, because our concept of what does that mean? Well, how fast? Well, what speed is it? Well, what do you mean by ship? Are we on a ship? That's, again, logical, analytical, and that's what I have a tendency to do, especially as I'm receiving this information. And my guidance system, right, this energy that I connect with is like, Carrie, don't hang on so tight. Play. And that is challenging for many of us, to be in that field of fluidity. So the more I let go and don't hang on so tightly to the beliefs or the structures or the ideas and concepts of what I thought I needed to do or become, or how I needed to act, or who I needed to interact with, or who I may have let down, right? That's a big one that's coming up right now. Oh, I let that person down. I let myself down. Oh, I never followed through with this. Yes, but it's time to just stop beating ourselves up over all that stuff. But that's a whole other video, again. And so it's not about just, again, throwing the baby out with the bathwater and just letting go to where we're just allowing others to control our reality. Because that's not what this is. It's just softening. It's not being so rigid about what is that person's doing and what this person's saying. And, well, this teacher says this, therefore, this is the only. All of that. That's a tight puzzle. What I've been shown is all the pieces that were used to build a reality and the medium in which our reality existed, the fabric, has shifted. Therefore, how we interact with the fabric has shifted. Therefore, how the fabric or the energy that is this creative space, if we want to call it that, how it interacts with us has shifted. Therefore, how can we take these old principles and apply them to the new reality? And the answer that I keep getting is you can't. Some of them, yeah. Some of them you can. Some of the old tools and principles are very helpful as a baseline. And I want to just cover that really quickly. Yes, the simple breathe, get into your heart space, take care of your body, get grounded, be kind. Those are the basic building blocks of our reality. And I say that, I could go into flow on this play of words right now. I'm being guided to kind of go into that a little bit. So the building blocks of reality that we have built our reality on has actually blocked us from building a more expansive and expressive reality. So they've helped us to some extent and then put the brakes on and blocked us from going beyond that. But now we've outplayed that. I'm hearing well played. We've outplayed that. We've outdistanced it. Again, so it's a musical day. We're going the distance. Going for speed. All around in a time of need. Who is that? Cake? No. Maybe? No, it's not Cake. I don't know. It might be Cake. So essentially, I make up my own lyrics sometimes too. But we've outdistanced it. So we've actually come to a place where we don't necessarily have to hang on to that anymore. We don't have to hang on to any of it except for the basics. And then we can expand from there. So that's what I'm seeing and I'm experiencing in my own reality is challenging. I have folders of information that I've typed up that I feel is probably no longer relevant. And part of me is like, man, I went through all of that work and now it's not applicable. Can I let that go? And that's what's showing up for me as an example. We could put this into a relationship, right? I've been hanging on to this person for years. We've made it this far. I'm not going to give up. And that might be the right thing to do because you guys have both grown and moved into this new medium. But it might be that that partner is stuck and doesn't want to make the movement into this new reality. They don't want to see past old. I'm hearing let bygones be bygones. Like they're not letting it go. And that is something that if we're not able to let go, we're not going to be able to harness the new frequencies that are coming in because of the blocks that we're putting up. that are based on the old building blocks that we thought we needed to adhere to stick to listen to. So the question becomes, what belief structures, what blocks did I build my own reality on that are now rigid and cracking and not holding space for me to then interact with it in such a way that it leads to expansion? Some of those we may not even realize are holding us back or keeping us dense, heavy, right? We're carrying them with us. So I think I said the other day, lugging around the luggage, right? The lugging around the old age. So that's part of the biggest message that's been coming through. So for me, it looks like everything. How I interact with the fabric around me has shifted. My light language has changed. My ancestral languages that I'm connecting into, that's part of my DNA, has now shifted. Part of me had felt a little bit of a loss because I'm not utilizing the same languages that I really loved utilizing. I can still pull them through if I want to, but the question becomes, is that the most expansive language for you to be tapping into right now based on your needs in this now moment, or based on the expression and experiences that are the energy that is coming through in this now moment? So even letting that go has been interesting for me. And it's not that I'm letting it go and it's never going to return. And that's something else that I think is very important to recognize right now, because there are certain things that are still going to come through. They just may not be coming through right now. They might need some time to catch up. This could be a friend, this could be a partner. They may choose that they don't want to express in this new medium. They might only want to express from the old system. But they have that freedom of choice. That is a choice. And so, can we let go of the need to make those rules for others? Because then that becomes, well, it's not fluid, right? It's rigid. And that's, again, we could go into a whole other layer about that. So the sounds I've been using, the way that I connect in with my clients is different, and that can be challenging for those of you who are in the healing community. You might have noticed this, or this might have been happening. For me, it's been happening over the course of the last couple years. I'm constantly shifting how I'm interacting and how the healing modalities that I am providing or connecting into, they're always changing for me. And that has always been challenging, especially in the beginning, because I would expect something to come through in such a way, or I would expect a message to come through in a certain way, and it didn't. Sometimes I still do it. I'll have a session with someone and it'll be all light language when I was really expecting to tap into the Akash. Other times it's no light language and just tapping into the Akash, or a relative that's passed on or a friend that's passed on comes through. And that's always unexpected. And I really have to just go, okay, this is what needs to come through right now for this particular individual that I am working with on their own individual unique expression, yet as a collective connected to their own DNA, lineage, ancestors, guides, angelics, and versions of them, past, present, and future, all now. Whew. It's a lot sometimes, right? So, and sometimes it's just about having a conversation. But the reason I'm sharing this is I'm not the only one experiencing this. This could be, so that's what it looks like for me. It's more of a seamlessness when we're in the fluidity, but because we're used to operating from a different frequency, when I say operating from a different frequency, it isn't like a lower frequency or a lower dimension. I'm just talking about literally the medium that we're working through, the fabric, I like to call it that because it looks like this fluid interchanging fabric of plasma, charge and particles and all this stuff moving and interacting with each other. And the way that we're interacting with it and the way it's interacting with us has shifted. And so this is in all things. And so it can feel uncomfortable because it is so fluid from how I'm seeing it and feeling it, that it can make us feel sometimes out of balance. We're tripping over our words. We're not sure what direction to go in. Some of us are feeling very destabilized and ungrounded, even though we think we're grounding, because the ground in which we are connecting with has shifted. The energies that the earth is giving to us, literally sharing with us, and that we are exchanging together has shifted. And it's for the purpose of us both and all things expanding. And so it can feel wonky, right? And sometimes we might feel the desire to fall back into an old habit pattern, or to go back to, all right, I know that I am safe and I feel stable, driving my old car. Like my friend Candace talks about the new car, the brakes on, the brakes off, right? Stop, go, stop, go. And that is essentially also what I'm referring to, but I'm also referring to the layer of why it feels that way. Because we're learning how to interact in this way when we're used to possibly having this much space. And so some of us need to stay in that box. And I'm saying this with love because we don't have to do anything, but we're being invited to get out of our judgments around how fast or slow we're going. And also be patient with others, because others may need to stay inside that box a little bit longer, even though the box is not really there. It's what I'm being shown as it's constructs that we have created within our own reality bubble that have allowed us to work and operate from within that old operating system. So the old operating system is still available to us from one perspective. But again, it's the training wheels. The training wheels are still there if we want to ride that bicycle a little bit longer because it feels safer for us. But more and more, they're going to disappear, is what it feels like. And from another perspective, they're already gone. But it's that phantom limb. We think they're still there, so we feel safer pretending that we still have training wheels on, the phantom training wheels. From one perspective, right? And from another perspective, some people still do have the training wheels on. Some people are not, they've chosen to check out. And what I wrote about in my blog post about the brain alchemy, if that's something you're interested in, carrieavon.com. I posted that blog, a rough draft. I could go back and update it. Is that the brain is interacting with the field differently. So the brain and our bodies are interacting with the earth, which makes us feel, whoa, expansive? Stop, that's too much. Expansive? Oh, I don't know, that's whoa. I can't possibly be that. Fill in the blank, right? I can't possibly let that go. I can't possibly feel this expansive right now. And some of us are like, woohoo, bring it on, right? Some of us are going into what my guides called full throttle Betty, like, bring it, let's go. But then we burn out. So that's part of this as well. Like we go, we're expansive. Wow, I'm bringing it, take it all in. I'm gonna do it all. Some of us are doing that, by the way, out of fear that we'll miss out. Isn't that a thing, fear of missing out? Like if I don't do this all now, this energy might go away and I won't be able to capitalize on it. So I've got to go, and just take it all on. And then then our bodies just burn out. And what I'm hearing is that our adrenals, I'm being guided to talk a little bit about that. So to end on the whole, to kind of pull it all in together, this fluidity of how we interact with source is changing. So I talked earlier, I think, about my higher guidance team. The way in which I'm interacting and communicating with my higher self is instantaneous from one perspective. Not all the time, but more and more frequently. And so if it's not instantaneous, generally it's because I have chosen to slow it down for whatever reason. Or I've had a particular block, I'm calling it the old building blocks that I was used to living within, my old structure, has then shown up for me again and presented itself like, hey, you still haven't worked through this. This is something that still needs to be integrated, and you're not connecting with your higher self from one perspective, or the spirit that moves in all things, because you don't believe that you can, or you don't believe that you're worthy, or something in your past has now come up that's triggered a certain feeling of fear that now you're honing in on, and this has created a separation and a pattern. Some of it's safety. It feels safer to have that space because there is that concept that if I am my higher self embodied, what if I make the wrong choice? What if I'm not choosing for the highest and greatest good? And then that automatically almost pulls it out. And then you're separate from it. And we're back in that older way of interacting with the medium, right? The medium, the fabric. But then we morph back into it and go, well, it's okay. I'm a human. Even though I'm connecting with this source energy, higher self, I'm a human, having a human experience. I'm not going to always make the perfect decision, and it may be for a reason that leads me to a better expression or a better opportunity or an opportunity that I never would have seen, felt, or been aware of if I would have made this other choice that seems like it's the right one and I made the wrong one. I could go on and on with that. So that's just our human experience, right? And then as soon as we integrate that, again, it becomes more fluid. Now. Where did I put my phone? Oh, it's right there. Versus asking higher self, Archangel so-and-so, please show me where I put my phone. It's seamless. Because we are part of that collective. We are part of the collective that our angels are existing within from one perspective. Playing with words there. So we are essentially communicating as a channel, but now it's an open source network again, if we choose for it to be, rather than this closed portal where we're not tuned into our environment as much. Now we're tuned into our environment in a much more fluid fashion. And so again, there's going to be growing pains from one perspective. I could go into so many different other layers. So I'm trying to so the question becomes, what is the next chapter? But if we haven't read and integrated and processed what's showing up for us on this page of our book, I do this a lot, I skip. I'll go to the end of a book, I don't care. If I feel like that's what I want to do, I'm going to do it. I'll pick random pages. Look at me, rebel without a cause there, right? But sometimes I do it intuitively because I'm like, I don't need to read this whole book. I just need to go here. And exactly what I needed to read is right there for me because I trusted in that moment, in that intuition. And this is another reason that this is coming through right now, because that's a perfect example of fluidity. That's a perfect example of us not stopping ourselves, blocking ourselves by saying, no, I'm not going to skip steps. I'm going to read this from the beginning till the end. Now, in some cases, it's important not to skip steps, right? But many of us are at the point where we've already taken the steps in order to go through to bring us where we are now. So many of us haven't skipped steps. And if we did skip a step, it's going to show up for us quite obviously. And I'm being guided to talk about that. So if we have an intuitive moment where it's intuitive versus analytical logical. So I'm reading my book, and intuitively I feel that I really need to read the whole book all the way through. Or I go to skip and I feel like this physical stop, go back to the beginning. There's something important here. So I'll follow that guidance, which is immediate. It's not a delay for many of us like it once was, because it's a different interaction now. Or I'll hold the book and I'll ask, should I skip? Show me what page to go to. That's one way of doing it. Or just automatically holding the book and you know you should read the whole book from beginning to end. Or you know that this is one of those books that you're just going to open a page and look right into the middle and go, oh, that was exactly what I needed to know, and then go back to the beginning. So it's a fluidity. It's not this, should I, shouldn't I? Ooh, I don't know. I feel so bad. I skipped this first part. Or you read it and you go, okay, I guess I shouldn't have skipped that chapter because now I don't understand what's going on with this character, right? I'm talking more about self-help books or expansive books, all that good stuff. We have a knowing. We have an inner knowing, and we're being guided to trust because we've taken the steps over and over again to bring us where we are. And to not block this fluidity because we feel that we don't deserve or we're not worthy, etc., etc. So when these messages come through in this fluid way, how much time do I have? Okay. Sometimes we get lost in the translation. We get lost in the interpretation. And that's another message that's been coming through. If we are having a conversation and we're trying to help a friend, for example, and that friend we're thinking about the next thing we need to say, or we're hearing what they're saying and we're already 2 steps ahead of them, but we're not feeling into the moment. I've done this quite a few times. I do it with my sister all the time. Sorry, sis. She'll say something and I'll already be thinking ahead, and then I'll repeat what she just said, and then she'll just be quiet and I'll be like, you just said that, didn't you? Because I'm, here, but it's fine. Sometimes that's just a synchronistic way we're on the same page and we're thinking the same things. But the question becomes, are we honoring this moment? Because in this moment is that fluidity through this fabric in which we're weaving, and we're not skipping steps. If we were present and we were feeling into where this conversation is now, we know where it's going. We don't have to jump ahead so that we're prepared. It just automatically flows that way. And I'm using the conversation as an example. This has to do with our life. This has to do with interacting. Should I go here or should I go there? It just becomes this. And then when we start going into that, it feels more like a magnet pulling us, right? We're drawn to it because it's the fabric that is pulling us, saying, here, come hither, right? Come hither and experience this. You're ready. Let's move into this flow. And sometimes that pull is really strong, but we don't feel like we're ready or we don't feel like we're worthy. And it feels like this resistance because we're the ones in resistance. And then it's that drag, it's that friction. Whew, so much. Okay. So essentially, I'm going to wrap it up and I know there's more that I could go with this. It's about feeling into the newness of everything and realizing that the old way that we interacted with each other and ourselves, it has expanded so much that it can feel scary. It can feel unsure, and it can feel frustrating at times. So the more patient we are with ourselves and recognizing that our brothers and sisters are going through this too, and they may not have done the same type of work that you've done to help them to understand what's going on. So it might even be more frustrating and scary for them. So that's where us as divine holders of our field or ability to somewhat balance that out helps us to stabilize and have that ripple effect on the entire field. But it isn't necessarily our responsibility to just stabilize them. We stabilize ourselves, that ripples out, and that assists others in feeling into our frequency of stability. That doesn't mean we're stable all the time, because, right, we're shifting and we're moving. And so again, it's that patience and coming back into acceptance of where we are in that moment without judging our experience and, wishing it wasn't so from one perspective. And I'm going to end talking about the body. I think I've got 3 more minutes. So I will write this up. If you, again, I did carryyvonne.com, talked about brain alchemy. Our brain is shifting. I got the message the other day that our tongue is changing. I got the message the other day that the lungs are changing. And as above, so below, as within, so without. That means all of this is changing not only for everybody or for many people. I don't want to speak for everybody, but this is also happening on Earth. So a lot of the Earth changes are part of this natural equilibrium reset, is what I'm hearing. And I hope to go into more detail on this, but I'm not going to have any expectations about where those messages are going. But I did just want to give you a little tidbit on that. So being aware that our hearts are changing. So we are possibly feeling a little different. And that can also feel a little strange. So the more patient we can be with our bodies and not necessarily assume the worst, get into a place of feeling into, is this an emotion that is expressing itself through a body pain? Is this fear? What is this attached to? Oh, well, maybe I'm just feeling a little funky today. Maybe it's weird. There might be stuff going on with the sun. Again, the earth, giving us a lot of uploads. So it could just be that we're processing information at a much more rapid pace. And so our body just needs a little extra loving. I'm hearing, give me some loving early in the morning. It just needs a little extra space. So we might need an extra nap. We might need to drink a lot more water. We may need more fruits and vegetables right now. Or we might need more protein. It might be that we're processing and the protein is we're not getting enough protein. So look up, broccoli has a ton of protein in it for a vegetable. So figure out what works for your body in order to assist it in this expression. Okay, I'm going to end on that note. So much more to share in love and light.